thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory. Forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Miller.
Here.
Clayton.
Here.
Mr. Etherly.
Here.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Here.
Mr. Messina.
Present.
Dr. Miller. 5 present.
Yeah, we're calling. Thank you. So, to get us started, we have the minutes today, Ms. Ramsey, for approval. Yes. So we'll put the minutes towards the end of our meeting for this evening from our previous sets of city council meetings, so we can get those approved. Our first order of business for the day, we do have a lengthy list, so I'm going to hope that we can get through these as expediently as possible. First up, we have Judge Carter, and this is for raises for the district court employees. We did listen to a proposal at the last meeting 3 weeks ago, and so the judge is back with some new information for us.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me again. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel again on what I'm asking for, but I am asking for some raises for the district court employees. I would like to reiterate that I do think that they have done an outstanding job over the years, and it has been a number of years since they have had any raises. When I was here last, the council asked for some numbers to justify these raises. I've got a printout here of what we have paid to the city last year and up through this year so far. Again, just as a reminder, the proposed salary increases that I'm asking for, salary without benefit increases total for the department is $27,889.60. As you can see, last year, the district court paid to the city $44,580. Through April of this year, we're already at $24,805. So we're already over half of what we were for last year. Would also like to point out that there are some other things that the court does pay for. The court costs go into the operation of the court. And so we do pay the computer company that we have. We pay over $1,000 a month for the computer system that we have. There are 2 trucks that are owned by the city, but that were paid for by the court. The court maintains those vehicles. The court reimburses the city for the gas that is burned in those vehicles. We have our own copier, our own fax machine that is on a lease through our court. The city does not pay for any of that. Supplies we pay for. And I reached out to the Department of Finance and Administration today and asked them for the numbers that the city used to pay toward the district court judge's salary. And the number that they gave to me was a little over $20,000 a year that the city is no longer paying to the state for the district court judge's salary. So that's $20,000 that the city is not paying anymore that was previously being paid to the state. So if you add that $20,000 to all the other amounts that we have on here, I think that would, I also forgot to note, Lakeview and Elaine each pay about $2,200 a year for us to have their court here. So there's a lot of money that we've got to help offset what I'm asking for here, which again is not quite $28,000. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer them if I can.
This looks good.
Well, thank you.
This looks good, Judge, and I compliment you on providing this information.
Well, thank you. My clerk helped me out a lot on this. She got a lot of these numbers for me. They have been working on trying to get our collections up. They've been sending out letters reminding people of fines, and we've I would say probably a good chunk of our Tuesday morning docket is people on payment reviews who are coming in. Some come in every few months. Some only come in when they come to court. So I have to have them come every month. But we're doing our best to try to get our collections up, and it looks like we're doing well so far in 2026.
That's what I was asking. I wanted to know, we got a lot of uncollected debt.
There is a very large amount of uncollected fines.
And do you have someone that's working on that to collect those debts, those fines?
We send out letters every month, and for those that don't respond to the letters, we do eventually have to issue a warrant if they don't show up to court for their fines. But yes, sir, we are working on that.
You got somebody to get that money for us?
We're trying.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Judge Carter, for the viewing audience,
Yes, sir.
we're aware of the $20,000 you're speaking of relating to the final implementation of the district court. Could you explain that for the public so the people can understand what you mean, where the city is no longer paying the $20,000?
Yeah, so back in, I think it was 2011, the district courts were starting to transition over to state district courts. Before that, they were always municipal courts that were funded by the cities. Now that 100% of the district courts in Arkansas are funded, well, let me say this district court judges are funded by the state. The cities are no longer responsible for any portion of the district court judges' salaries. The way it worked previously was the cities and counties in the district were responsible for, I believe, half of whatever the judicial salary was at the time of implementation. And so in, say, Phillips County was paying a portion. Helena-West was paying a portion. Marvel, I believe, was paying a portion. Lakeview and Elaine were paying small portions. Lee County and Marietta were also paying portions. And they had some formula that they had worked out, I think, kind of based on population and court density and all that. And so that $20,000, that's where that figure came from. But since I am a state employee now, that is where that change has occurred.
Good. That's good.
And the 2,200 for Elaine and Lakeview, that's what the city of Helena-West actually receives for us hosting their court. Is that correct?
Correct. That was an interlocal agreement that the cities entered into.
Correct.
And it was a percentage of the salary of the clerk who was handling those dockets. And that's how we came up with that. I believe it was 5% of the docket. We estimated that Lakeview and Elaine, and so we estimated them to pay for around 5% of the salary for that particular clerk. And so they are reimbursing the city each year $2,200 a piece.
Thank you, Judge Carter. I wanted the public to be aware, so we're not just talking and people not understand what we're doing.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Valley.
Okay. Then this looks good. I thank you, and I make a motion that we approve those requests that he has asked us for. I make the motion.
Second. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Davis? Yes.
Ms.
Mr.
Davis.
St. Columbia?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Messina?
Yes.
Mr. Etherly? Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Yes. I have 5 yeses and 1 no.
Motion passes. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you all. I would also like to mention one other thing unrelated to that. I have a conflict court date scheduled for June the 9th, which are for cases in which City Attorney Andre Valley has some sort of conflict, whether it be through the defendant might work for the city or has retained Mr. James Valley to represent him. And so there's either an actual inherent conflict with, if somebody works for the city, Mr. Valley can't prosecute them and then possibly have to defend them in another thing, or a appearance of a conflict, which would occur with his brother representing somebody. I think the council may have already set aside some funds for conflict counsel, but we don't have one in place yet. And so I would just ask that we get somebody in place before that June 9th court date.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. the attorney and I got a chance to talk about that today, so we will definitely get on that. We're gonna do a quick reshuffle for the sake of time, just moving something up to the second. This is gonna be Tulip Circle, which is number 5 in the packet. This is a street infrastructure concern. And on your tables in front of you, this is the packet that has pictures that show the condition of Tulip Circle. In short, we are looking at a one-way. I'm going to invite Mr. Wallen to come up so he can make sure he presents us with some engineering knowledge that I might not have. But in short, we have a one-way into one of our communities where the street is sinking. And if that street collapses, I mean, we have residents that won't be able to leave their homes and their vehicles. And the pictures at the back show the drainage system collapsing under the weight of the street. So,
Before you get started, I'd like to say there's one picture in here, and there's also one just almost identical to it on Springdale Road. It's on the edge and it's taken over the road. That needs to be looked at. I didn't see the picture in here, but it's on Springdale Road. From the college to my house, it's between there, and that's how I noticed it. It's getting worse. It's on the edge. It's huge. If a car hits it, it's gonna be a substantial damage and probably cost somebody their life. It's very dangerous. I mean, you can go down in it with a car. It's huge.
we'll definitely get with the
Getting
street and
worse.
sanitation
Okay.
department
The
to make
picture-
sure we check that out. Yeah.
in this-
So this was brought from a constituent, which is why this is in here. But we know that there are other places that need to
Are
be.
you familiar with
I believe so.
near the college over there?
I believe so. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Wallen.
Evening, Mayor and Council, thank you. I guess I always get the privilege of bringing all the bad news, but as the mayor said, Tulip Circle, I was called out by the chief of staff to go out and look at it with him. It's not anything as substantial as Hernando Street, but it certainly has the potential to cause a problem on a street with no other access. And that's the issue there. Now, as far as I understand, I think what my task tonight is to get you to basically say that y'all want me to go out and do like I did last time. I'll send one of my staff and myself will come up with a real quick estimate without spending a lot of your engineering money for what we think a repair of this would cost. Now, just off the cuff, without any details, I feel like this is going to be substantially less expensive than Hernando. It's not near the scope and the breadth of what happened in Hernando. This is this isn't a culvert that was blown out. This culvert is just like a lot of us here. It's just gotten old, and it's the heavy traffic is starting to collapse it in. So if y'all want me to proceed, we'll try to keep our time to a minimum. We will go out and look at it and come up with an estimate of what we think the construction would be to replace that. And Mr. St. Columbia, you're right. And there's
Are there any federal or state funds available to a city like us to get?
I don't know of any just right off. It's something that we could look into. I don't know of any right off. Sometimes when we get big storms, they'll come in with a FEMA declaration or something like that. And we tried that, whatever it was, back in 2016, and we didn't have a whole lot of luck. Because sometimes when they come in, the storm has to cause it. And
Well, I know the state will work on those state highway that's coming
That's
through
right.
the city, but streets like Springdale Road that are heavily trafficked by a lot of people that cut through and go to the college, and streets like that, it seems that we could probably get some state or federal help.
I'll try to look in to see if there's any available. Certainly if there's a dollar available out there, we want to try to get it.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think is there may be some loan type programs, and I know we're kind of loaned to the hilt right now, but I'll look into that, see if I can find something out there.
Okay.
Maybe talk to somebody at the highway department or somebody with the state ANRC. Maybe they know I know in Mississippi, they've got erosion control program over there that's funding, like major, where you've got whole embankments sloughing off. But, there are quite a number of areas around the city, that have these types of failures over culverts that, they are a risk to a driver. And probably are gonna need to be addressed. Tonight, I was here to discuss Tulip Circle.
Yeah.
But now we can look at, we've already got a task order for Hernando Street. I think we're gonna just extend that to Tulip Circle if you want me to. And if there are any other major ones, we can look at them, and I can try to come up with estimates on them. The question is gonna be is, what would you want to do then? I can come up with the estimates, just like we did on Hernando, and then you made the decision after, a lot of discussion to proceed with Hernando. Of course, that's an expensive one. Some of these others won't be quite as expensive. We just need to stabilize them if anything else. So we could expand what we're doing to other I'm not talking about potholes. I'm talking about things that really impose a danger to drivers. And in some cases, walkers. One of the holes I've seen lately, you wouldn't want to walk down the street at night and fall into it. I mean,
We're getting a lot of erosion on these streets and how heavily trafficked areas.
right,
And the erosion of these rains have caused a lot of.
right. Yes, in some cases, you hopefully could just reestablish the fill. In the case of Tulip Circle, that culvert, if you look at those pictures, especially the ones at the end, if you'll, I recognize it, you may not, but look at the bottom of that pipe. If you look at that picture real close, you'll see that there is no bottom in that pipe. It's completely rotted out, and that's very normal for a galvanized metal pipe. They'll hang around for 25, 30, sometimes 50 years. You got some in downtown Helena here, I don't know how old they are, and they look just the same. The only thing left of them is the top of them. Everything else is rotted away, and the dirt compacts around it in arch action, and that's what's creating your hole that the water's draining through, and that's not a good idea. You also see how squashed out. Now, that's not a circular pipe, it's an elliptical pipe, but that you can see that pipe is in trouble. It's squashing. That's right underneath where it's just squeezing in, and it may be because of the garbage trucks. That's a fairly narrow street, so the garbage trucks have to drive right over it to get in there. And so, it's just, this is not anything unusual, and it's probably not unique either. So if y'all would like me to proceed with coming up with some estimates, I will, and I'll bring them back, and y'all can decide what action. Along those same lines, the Hernando Street project, the first advertisement should come out in Thursday's paper, which I get Friday. Thursday's paper, it'll advertise this week and again next week, and then somewhere about 15 days later, we'll actually open bids. And my intention is to bring that project to the council for approval as to whether you want to award a contract or not on that. So Hernando is underway as far as getting contractors to bid it.
Would it be posted online where any of the online or state publications or anything?
It's in the local newspapers what we send it to. That's really the only requirement. Now it can be posted. Yeah. It can be posted anywhere, but the local paper is what the requirement for the city is.
I understand. I was just thinking about getting good people to put their bid in.
Of course, anybody is. If somebody wants a copy of the bid advertisement, I will be glad to send it to them. We'll send it to some of the contractors that we know are licensed and bonded and capable of doing it. We'll try to bring them in. Our local folks and somebody from out of town. I just don't anticipate somebody from too far out of town wanting to come in on Hernando. I may be totally surprised, and I hope I am. I hope we get 50 bids. Now, I don't know if I need action or Mayor.
No, I definitely think that the idea of extending the task orders might be something that would benefit looking at the other streets, because Hernando is in need of repair. This street is, as you mentioned, Mr. Wyland, different because if this street collapses, folks can't get to their houses within their own vehicles. And so, and then we're talking about Springdale. So I do think that there are a couple of streets that need to be prioritized for the sake of, quality of life decisions for the people that live there.
And that's also, as you and I discussed, Little Rock Road.
Yeah.
Little Rock Road, near James Street has a,
Is that within the city's jurisdiction? I think I know
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, if you come,
My wife filters the Facebook for me because I don't watch Facebook, and she pointed that one out to me this morning, so.
We need to get prioritized list of where, you know, and those are in worse shape, heavily trafficked by the people. You know, we need to
Right,
get to them first and work to the list.
right.
Yeah.
It has been closed for a year,
Needs,
not a year.
yeah, needs
So there are
immediate
people that
attention.
Live on that street, and lots of people use that street.
Absolutely.
Mayor, do you want to just extend task order 4 to include this since it's related, or you want to do a task order 5?
I'm in favor of extending the task order, pending any strong opposition from the council.
Yeah.
as long as it's under $5,000 total for all of them, and it's in the city's budget, there's no issue with extension.
Well, of course, task order 4 has got Hernando in it, and that's going to be more than 5. So maybe we can just do a quick task order 5 for, routine investigations of the highest priority, you know, and try to keep it under the mayor's 5. That's the suggestion.
I think we should, because we're eventually gonna have to do it anyway. Yeah. I think the best thing, at least, it's kind of like, the money you had to fix your house and you don't really want to spend it, but you got to anyway. I think it's just best for us to go, at least know what it costs, so we can kind of have it in the back of our mind, for whenever we're ready to.
Out of abundance of caution, by looking at the budget, you all probably should approve a task order, approve the mayor to be able to spend the funds for a task order. Just out of abundance of caution, even though it's on this mayor spending limit, since it's a second, and you're looking at multiple streets, we want to make sure that we're covered.
Yeah. So we didn't put that in a motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to put that in a motion. I don't know what they.
The motion is to authorize the mayor to execute a task order with Smith and Wyland to look at the remediation of several streets throughout the city that are in serious need of repair.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Messina.
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Anthony,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes, ma'am.
6 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Wallen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
where are we with the list that we were, I know we all talked about having a list of streets.
The grant that we submitted, we're still waiting to hear back from that. So that's for overlays, which would be repaving of the surface of the street. So it's up to 300,000. You don't know what you get until you get an award, if you get an award. But we haven't gotten notification of that acceptance or rejection yet.
Okay. I have a constituent on Windland, and I went over there and it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Where is this?
On Windland
Windland.
Street. And I just wondered, I wanted to know basically what to tell her.
We are, and for all the folks listening at home, we are still waiting on a grant that the chief of staff spearheaded, which was very crucial and critical because we have several streets in the city that need to be repaved. And part of that conversation, and just throwing it out there again, is that with pending task orders and work that's going to be done on water lines, that does introduce a new element to how do you prioritize placing new water lines down while also repaving certain streets, because we know some of that's going to be mutually done in the same spaces. So, but as soon as we have word about that, award or rejection, we'll definitely inform the city and this body. Thank you, Councilman Miller. It definitely should, because I think when the attorney brought it up, I know exactly what we're speaking of. Because it sounds like it's very similar to Springdale, where if you're driving down that road, I mean, you're risking death to your car.
It's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's not on the list, I'll make sure it gets on that. That's the wild. All right, moving on. We're going back to number 2 now. We have Mr. Roy Williams Sr., and he is coming forth in front of the body with a water department concern. So, Mr. Williams, if you're here.
It's number 2, item 2.
I'd like to say good evening to you all. I hate to have to come over here in these kind of meetings, but I'm looking at West Helena and Helena ever since 1965. Almost 20 or 30,000 people was here then. I never saw it like it is now. I feel like our councilmen letting our citizens down on a lot of things. You're passing bills that we don't even know why or nothing. I own a lot of property in Helena. Just a few weeks ago, change had been made. I know nothing about it. I wanted a water meter. For about 5 or 10 minutes, see that our water leak, I had to put up $230. Get that. I was not aware of that. And the problem I didn't understand, there's no benefit to the city. Put it up, turn it on, get the money back. Why y'all set up and discuss something like that? There's no harm to the city. Our citizens paying taxes to get some service out of it that's gonna benefit the city. Pillar Hill, I've been passing out there for 35 years. We don't get the city service out there to get out here. I don't even get trash picked up unless not called. If I didn't cut the grass out there, me and Billy Clyde, the streets wouldn't get cut. Why are we like that? I've been paying for a container in my church ever since I've been out there. And I asked why I don't get one. Nobody can tell me. So if I ask for a reimbursement for the money that I'm paying for something that I'm not getting, y'all would owe me a lot of money. So why we don't get letters or don't get notifications about some of these bills and laws that y'all passing that are riding up on our citizens' head? West Helena and Helena is 90% fixed income. You put a late charge on it. I don't fight the late charges. But you got to understand the government does not pay everybody at the same time. I applaud our mayor when he came in here. He's the first somebody called a town hall meeting in this town in 40 years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. I give you applause. Y'all need to talk to us. Come to us. Let us know where we stand. We paying a late charge, sure. I don't fight the late charge. Why I put a raise on the door? Only reason we are late paying because we don't have the money. Our check don't come on the first of the month all the time. Everybody. Why don't y'all sit down and discuss these things and make out a way that you can let us all have a payment plan? How these on the 3rd of the month can pay, these that get their checks on the 2nd or 3rd week of the month. Let us all think together. Let's think together. We all live here. This is our home. Oh, $100 to y'all. Y'all got two jobs. You get paid taxpayer money, and then some of these citizens just getting $300, $400, $500 a month. You take $400, $500 a month out of my check, man. I'm and high grocery deal now. It's pretty tough. Of course, I know y'all don't mountain that because you know. So what? If boat gonna sink, let us all sink together. We the only town in the Delta that has to meet twice a month, and we just have a little over 8,000 people here. That's raised the salary pretty high. I never saw it till a few years ago. Like I say, when there were 20,000 people in this town, they met once a month. And Helena was blooming. I don't feel good. I'm being unhappy. I'm paying money for something I'm getting some. When I come to the city to get some a favor, the water main could have stayed there and waited till I turn it off. Just about 5 minutes to turn it on, see if I have water leak. And I ain't got my $230 back yet. Probably won't get it, I doubt, but I'll get it back. Y'all elected to serve us, not run away, lead us. We don't need y'all to speak for us all the time. If y'all want to come to us and let us tell y'all, we can tell y'all what we can do. Some of us might want to get out there and do some volunteer work. It's sad when you go by some people's house and let them sit up there looking. My water bill is more, water light bill is more money. I know y'all don't feel for, maybe y'all don't have a heart like mine, but I feel for y'all, West East senior citizens. I'm not gonna stand before God watching our people sit down and suffer. Y'all gonna pay us a bill to pay $230 to get a water meter turned on for 30 or 40 minutes. Wow. There ain't no money going to the city. Wow. I can call the energy and get lights turned on. Call me when you get through with it. Call the center point, get gas turned on. Call me when you get through with it. But when I come home, we need. I'm not only the homeowner going to bed. If y'all gonna discuss something, pass bills, call the town hall meeting and let us have say so. Or send us some notifications. And if we don't come to the meeting and we don't find representatives on up. But I know nothing about the law. Then that when it came over, without taking my $230. My Buckeye Street, right here on Park. If you was turning down, if I didn't cut Buckeye Street down, I had a man from the city come told me that was not the city's problem. And I said, well, you should. If it ain't the city's problem, then the city ain't got no problem. And he showed me in so many words, the city never cut it. So if I didn't cut it and keep it clean, you couldn't get killed trying to turn down Buckeye Street because somebody run over. I don't feel so hot, nice. Like I said, I've been paying for a container in my church. I've been there 37 years. It's first started off with $7 for the container. I don't know what it is now. But count that up for about 37 years and see how long I've been paying for a container that I had never saw. No, I'm leaving. I did not agree with the chief of staff. Helena never had one. That's $60,000 or $70,000 probably that could go to some of these bills. Right. Come on, kick on.
For clarity, thank you, if I may. Thank you, Pastor. The section of your ordinance that you passed relating to water bills when we increased the rates, there was the section called security deposits. It requires all homeowners to pay $150, renters to pay $175, landlords $200, commercial property $250, and a 500 meter, 500 security deposit each time you deal with water. And that's the section that he's talking about, that he was charged for.
When was it back?
2024, when you increased the rates. When the city increased the rates, not you in particular.
Thank you, Attorney. I definitely, and while we're still here, I definitely think that it's just important to note that this administration will keep making sure that we put information out as much as possible, diversifying how that information is shared, town halls, online. We have contact forms as well for people to reach out to the city, but yeah, I think making sure information is out, at least presented to people, is going to be one of the things that we continue to do. And I mean, it's up to the citizens, and we want citizens to be engaged. But as Mr. Williams said, people have to show up to get that information. So, did you have anything or something else to add, Mr. Williams?
We thought you were responding to his statement.
No, I wasn't responding. I was just giving clarity that he's talking about these fees that were in the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
The fees that was in the ordinance, and with his particular complaint, my understanding is that he turns it on temporarily, and he only wants to check to make sure his property pipes aren't leaking.
Yeah.
And so his concern, my understanding, is that why am I being charged just for 5 minutes? I just want to turn the water on and check it to make sure I don't have a leak while doing repairs.
One of the things that he stated that I do understand what he means. If we have citizens who are paid at certain times of the month and it's not all a uniform time, is there not a way to work with them on that?
Certainly, what I've done for most other cities I represent is this. What the city can do is do a payment plan authorized. You have to pass an ordinance, do a payment plan to authorize how you pay it. Some people can get an extension, just like with any of the other utilities. We have not addressed that here in Helena-West Helena. And what happens is most of them give you, just like with Summit or Entity, you get one extension, one payment plan. You got to pay your current bills and pay the payment plan over the course of months. Many cities do 3 or 4 months to give people a chance to catch up with their bills. But the city council had to pass a policy that said to do an ordinance. That's something you'll have to discuss in detail as to how you want to do that.
To get those numbers, this is a conversation before I was aware that Mr. Williams wanted to be on the agenda. This is a conversation that myself, the chief of staff, Mr. Syed Rose, had on Thursday of last week, if I'm correct, Thursday or Wednesday of last week. But how are we handling shutoffs? What type of assistance or support are we able to offer customers? Some of these deadlines have just been set in stone for a while, but understanding that there might be some areas where we can work with the residents a little bit better, if possible, is something that we are engaging right now. So,
Right. The type of relief that most cities give is similar to what the other utilities give. If you're behind, if you come in before the shut off notice, you sign a payment plan, and you'd have to put the past due and the current month on a payment plan, pay that over 90 days, and then pay your current bill. Some cities, City of Augusta, extended it to 120 days. But you'd have to be current on your current bill and pay the bill that's about to be shut off and the present bill in the payment plan, if you get what I'm saying. And so it kicks it down the road, but sometimes it creates greater pressure as you go forward because you're dividing those payments into 3 or 4 payments, but you still have to pay your current bill. And so we can provide some relief. They do it that way, but some of the utilities, so Summit or Integer, go 4 or 5 months. It's what the city council wants to establish. It would have to be a clear policy that you establish. And you would need guidance from the water utilities to see what's sustainable, because you want to make sure your revenue doesn't get too low to provide the needs. So many utilities, water utilities, go 90 days to 120 days. Some of the electrical utilities and some of the gas utilities go as far as 6 months. But it's a policy that has to be established by the city council, what you want to do. But typically, they put 2 months on payment plan, the month before it's shut off, and the month is coming so that they could be current. And then as they're paying the payment plan, they would have to pay each coming bill on time to comply. And if they miss the payment, then it'll be shut off and the entire balance will be due.
Is there a way we can go ahead and put on the agenda a meeting or include that in a meeting that's upcoming so that we can make sure that we discuss that?
Yes, we can put it in the next meeting. I
Yeah,
can send you a draft
I'd like-
ordinance.
yeah, I'd like to
I've
do
done
that.
this several times, but the thing
Yeah.
I was saying is that it depends on how you all want to do it.
Well, since since you've done that, maybe you can, help guide us through that, because I definitely
Certainly.
want us to do that. Also, there was something else Reverend Williams said. If he has been paying for a container and has not gotten one, I think that's clearly a concern as well. So, we need to address that.
And we'll get with, I see the chief staff back there. We'll definitely make sure we connect with you, Mr. Williams, about that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a minimum, we need to get them a container this week. And then you can address the other issues later relating to what possible remedy.
I also like the suggestion about those people, like he was using in reference of fixed income, but I know, I'm on T-Mobile, electric companies, something, they allow you to pay your bill, based upon when you get paid. So they have a window of time, like from the 10th to the 25th, and you can, set your bill. I can pay my bill on the 10th, or I can pay my bill on the 15th or whatever. And so you can set it around your, whenever you get your check. I would like to look at that
Right.
as well.
There is I want to just add briefly, there is a software that Mr. Rose mentioned to the chief staff and myself, and there's going to be a demo call that we have.
Okay.
I don't know if I understand correctly. I don't think that the current system that our water department uses has that capability. But there are softwares out there, billing softwares, where you can get that.
I'm sorry, man.
That's it.
The practical issue with that is the city council has to determine when is late.
Yeah.
And so, because the ordinance has to establish what time period is the late and when to apply the late fees and et cetera. In those payment plans, what the other cities do is they waive the late fees during those. If you get one of those payment plans, they waive the late fees during the pendency of the late fee for those 2 months, is what they typically do.
Y'all ever decide about the street over there, in Spiller Hill?
Sir?
What did y'all ever decide about the street there with the asphalt over there in Spiller Hill?
About Buckeye.
The name.
No, the name of the street, no, what? The Goldberry Street, we asked for the honorary street. Y'all never got that?
I think we.
No, sir, we hadn't, they haven't adopted the ordinance. I gave the ordinance back to, when I say the ordinance, I don't mean the Goldberry ordinance. The street naming ordinance I presented to the council, and the council had tabled it, and we have not gotten back to it. Because the council needs to pass the ordinance for street naming, and then once they do that, then we can address the Goldberry ordinance.
That's what they told me when I was over there last time.
Yes, sir, and I drafted it, and I presented it to the council last year, the year before, I can't remember when it was. But you've been asking about this for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, but I drafted and gave it back to the council because the question was a couple of the fees, and we put that in there. But I can't remember what it was, but I'll look it up, and I guess we'll put it on the next council.
We'll make sure it's on the next agenda.
Now, we're not talking about the Goldberry this time.
Yes.
We're talking specific about the street naming ordinance.
Right.
Right, and then, because once that's passed, you can apply for the Goldberry street naming is what you were asking about on Pillar Hill.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, attorney. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Moving along, we're going on to number 3 on our agenda items today. We have Suncrop Solar and Energy Solutions. This is this is in your packet. I'm sorry, this is pages 2 through 5 or 2 through 4 in your packet. This is a proposal to offer a free annual inspection for the city of Helena-West Helena solar field located at the Thompson Robins Airport. In the audience, we do have Todd Dixon, you can come up, the founder and CEO of Suncrop. And I'll be brief in just describing what this is. We were approached this week about the potential to have a free maintenance checkup on our solar field that's located at the airport. And Mr. Dixon, who's a resident here in Helena-West Helena, has wanted to offer his services to make sure that we can just have a functioning, robust solar field that's at the airport that's managed once a year. So if there are questions or anything that you want to add.
This is those solar panels out there.
Yes. So, yeah, like any infrastructure, you want to make sure things have maintenance, and they do need maintenance. And so that's exactly what Suncrop spends their time doing. If you've seen the few houses around Helena-West Helena that have solar panels on them, this is the person that's responsible for that. So what he's bringing is a wealth of knowledge and experience as it relates to maintenance. And so this would be a one-time annual inspection if this body approves the resolution that's located on page 5 of your packet. So he's committing to do this free of charge once a year, and that's that, unless there's any discussion for this particular matter.
What number?
Resolution.
Should be resolution 8.
I just have because I'm just curious, if it's free and everything and we don't have to worry about cost, why do we have to do a resolution? What does the resolution do?
He can't operate without authority, to express authority.
So if there's discussion, now's the time. But if there's not discussion, the ordinance is on page 5 and 6, and
Is it ordinance or resolution?
a resolution. Did I say ordinance? The resolution is on page 5 and 6, and so I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So move.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Yep,
Number 8.
Madam Clerk, will you call?
8.
Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Mr. Messina,
Yeah.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia, Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I do want to add that this is probably one of the first times, and not the only time, I'm sure, but just seeing citizens want to provide a service to the city with the expertise that they bring. So definitely happy to have Suncrop willing to do that for us. Moving on, we're at number 4 on the agenda tonight. This is an event application that was placed on your tables earlier. This is a Second Baptist Church block party. And do you know, is there anybody in the audience, Ms. Davis, that? Who's from the Second Baptist? Oh.
We have the Second Baptist Church annual block party. It's Saturday, April the 11th, from 10 to 4. There's gonna be gospel music, games, bounce houses, free food, horseback rides, and fun. The streets that will be blocked off will be Park and Hernando, and a portion of DeSoto and Claiborne. And that's at 167 West Park this Saturday, so please come out.
We approve it.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Mr. Messina,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Davis. We've been asked to wait on agenda item number 6, which is a fire department investigative unit. Chief Fluker had a doctor's appointment today, so a proposal presentation for that particular arsenal investigation unit. We'll wait until the next agenda cycle at our next meeting. So moving on to number 7 in your packets, this is on page not 8. My apologies. Page 12, you will see a code enforcement ordinance, and this is an ordinance amendment for abatement of nuisance property conditions.
Good.
And out you,
Well,
page 12, yes.
But if I may, you have a larger one that's sitting on the table also that we put on the table, same thing. With larger print so you can read it. There was some edits. I've met with Code Enforcement Officer Kendrick Smith as well as the mayor and chief of staff. And I emailed this out either Wednesday or Thursday last week. And there was some additional language that we discussed for procedure to clear it up. So if you all will indulge me, I will read the pertinent parts if that's fine with you all, because some of you all have not had a chance to review the changes that were made because they were just made last night and this morning. I'm going to skip down to section 1, if you all are with me. Section 1, it says amendment to section 2 of ordinance 12/2024, which is the ordinance relating to tall grass. It says hereby amended to add the following language, which shall be incorporated therein and read in conjunction with the existing provisions. In the event that the owners of any lot or real property fail, refuse, or neglect to comply with the requirements of this ordinance after proper notice, and the city undertakes to cut, remove, abate, or otherwise remedy such condition, the city shall charge the property owner for all costs incurred in connection with such work. Such costs shall include but not be limited to labor, equipment, supervision, administrative processing, and any related expenses, and shall be assessed at a rate of $150 per hour or any portion thereof for each crew engaged in the abatement. The total cost so incurred shall be charged against the property and shall constitute lien upon enforceable and collectible an amount of provided by Arkansas law, included but not limited to Arkansas Code, annotated sections 1454-904 through 903 through 14904, together with additional penalties, interest, and costs authorized by law. Here's the change that was different from the email. This the enforcement procedures, civil and criminal remedies. We added this for clarity. Upon a determination of violation of this ordinance exists, the city should provide written notice to the owner, occupant, or responsible party advising such condition must be corrected within 7 days. If violation not corrected within 7 day period, the city shall issue a final notice, which advise that the city will proceed with abatement of the property. Upon the final notice, the city is authorized to immediately enter upon the property and abate the condition without further delay, and all costs therewith shall be assessed thereon. The city may pursue enforcement of ordinance through one or more cumulative remedies. The city may proceed with abatement of the costs and recovery, including cutting, removal, or remediation of nuisance condition. All costs incurred shall be assessed as a lien against the property according to Arkansas Code annotated sections 1454, 903 and 904. The city may initiate criminal proceedings against each owner, occupant, or responsible party who fails to comply with this ordinance, and each day is a violation continues is deemed to be a separate offense. Upon conviction in the district court, the person shall be punishable by a fine not less than $100, no more than $250, plus court costs for each offense. City may pursue both civil and criminal prosecution simultaneously permitted by law. In cases involving non-resident absentee or unknown owners, the city may proceed through posting, publication, and lien enforcement as provided by law. In cases involving local repeat offenders, the city may pursue citations, court enforcement, enhanced penalties for continued noncompliance. Nothing shall limit the city authority to take immediate action without prior notice where conditions pose a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. More particularly, the procedure said to provide a clear and consistent ordinance enforcement The following procedure shall be followed by the city and its authorized official. When a violation of the ordinance is observed or reported, the code enforcement officer, police department, or authorized official shall investigate the condition and the property and determine whether violation exists. Upon determination a violation exists, the city shall issue a written notice via certified mail to the property owner, occupant, or responsible party. Such notice shall describe the condition constituting the violation and shall provide a period of 7 days within which the condition must be corrected. If the violation is not corrected within the time frame, the city may issue a final notice. Final notice shall clearly advise that the city will proceed with abatement of the property and that all costs incurred will be assessed against the property as a lien. Final notice shall be sent via first-class mail. Simultaneously, the city shall post a yard sign on the property to notify the property owner of the final notice. Following issue of the final notice, the city is authorized to enter upon the property without further delay and perform work as is necessary to bring the property in compliance. The city shall not be required to provide additional notice prior to such entry. All work performed by or on behalf of the city shall be documented, including time, labor, equipment, materials used, and the total cost shall be calculated in accordance with this ordinance. The city shall also maintain a file with documentation of photos, labor, and other costs to abate the issue. Upon completion of the abatement, the city shall prepare a statement of costs and assess such costs against the property. Said cost shall constitute a lien on the property that may be enforced as collected in the amount provided to the Arkansas Code annotated section 1454, 903, and 904. At any point after the expiration of the initial notice period, the city may also initiate criminal enforcement proceedings against the responsible party. Each day of the violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. In circumstances where the owner is unknown, cannot be located, non-resident, the city may proceed by posting notice on the property and utilizing publication or other methods authorized by law, and may proceed with abatement and lien enforcement without delay. Circumstances involving repeat violations or continued non-compliance by local or resident or occupant, the city may pursue simultaneous enforcement through abatement, lien placement, criminal prosecution, in order to secure compliance and protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Nothing in this section shall be construed to limit the city's authority to take immediate action without prior notice where conditions present a immediate danger to public health and safety. Substantial compliance with the procedures set forth for this ordinance shall be sufficient to support enforcement actions. Minor violations and notice timing or procedures shall not invalidate enforcement where the property owner has received actual or constructive notice of the violation and an opportunity to comply. All administrative costs associated with enforcement, including but not limited to inspection, documentation, notice preparation, mailing, posting, supervision, record keeping, and all related overhead shall be included in the costs and as part of the total cost of abatement and may be assessed against the property as part of lien. Enforcement decisions shall be made based upon the totality of circumstances, including the condition of the property, prior violations, responsiveness of the owner, occupant, and the impact of the surrounding properties. The city shall retain discretion to determine the appropriate enforcement method in each case. The city may prioritize lien-based abatement for properties owned by non-residents, absentee, or unresponsive owners, and may prioritize criminal enforcement for local or occupants who have failed to comply after notice, particularly in cases involving repeated violation. Repeated violations occurring on the same property within a 12-month period may be considered evidence of ongoing noncompliance, may justify accelerated enforcement, including reduced compliance timeframes, immediate abatement following notice, and increased reliance on criminal enforcement. Use and disposal of funds. This is also added. All funds collected by the city pursuant to this ordinance, including but not limited to abatement, administrative fees, lien payments, fines, and any other money recovered through enforcement shall be deposited in the city treasury. To the extent that any costs of abatement, enforcement, labor, or equipment or administrators have been paid or advanced by the city's general fund, all funds collected shall first be applied to reimburse the general fund for such expenses. After reimbursing the general fund, any remaining funds collected pursuant to this order shall be deposited in the designated code enforcement account of the city. That's one correction. I think the mayor wanted a portion to go to the street and sanitation. We can add that language there. In the event that no general fund monies were used or advanced in connection with the abatement or enforcement of lien, all funds collected shall be deposited directly to code enforcement account. Funds deposited in the code enforcement account shall be used exclusively for the purposes related to code enforcement activities, including but not limited to nuisance abatement, property maintenance and enforcement, personnel, equipment, administrative costs, and other expenses necessary to carry out the provision of this ordinance. The city shall maintain appropriate accounting records for all funds collected and expended pursuant to this section in accordance with all applicable law and standard municipal accounting practices. Funds collected pursuant to this ordinance shall not be diverted or to unrelated purposes except as may be required by law. Those are the parts that were added. I just wanted to address all of that. Do you all have any questions? The mayor wants one adjustment where part of the funds also go to street and sanitation. What portion? Do you want to divide it evenly or how do you want that done? Because I need to add that.
Of the 150, the chief of staff and I felt that, basically $50 of that amount would go to the street and sanitation and the $100 would go to code enforcement, given just the joint nature of being able to tackle code enforcement as it relates to a grass cutting situation. Code has to go and tag it and make sure that the resident knows, and then street and sanitation, if necessary, might need to be involved as well to take care of the actual situation itself. So thinking about both departments as using their resources, more or less.
Is $100 to code enforcement
Yes,
and 50 to street and sanitation?
yes.
Are there any other suggestions or corrections to the ordinance? Oh, that notice, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Is that cutting the grass or just?
Yes, this is a yard sign. This yard sign, just for clarity, when I met with the mayor and the chief of staff and code enforcement separately and collectively, we discussed remedies. In some of the cities I prepared ordinances. What this represents is a coroplast yard sign. I'm sorry that it's a bad copy, but it's a yard sign that when we do after 7 days, post that in the violator's yard. And you can decide the color, whether you want yellow and black, or you want white and black, or whatever color that you all decide. We place it there to tell them, this is a final notice for the sake of the citizens. It says City of Helena-West Helena, final notice, violation, failure to maintain yard. City crews will cut this property immediately at a rate of $150 per hour. Additional fines and liens may apply. For questions, contact the code enforcement officer, 870-817-7400. There will be a coroplast yard sign, standard like a political sign, placed in their yard to tell them, we're about to take action.
On page 2, where it says $150 per hour, or any portion thereof for each crew, when you say each crew, is the crew collective of say 2 or 3 men, or is each crew referring to each person working in that group to do it?
No, it should just be for each crew. It should just be one crew on the property. I'll reword that because it's just $150 an hour for the crew.
Okay, and so who exactly is going to be responsible for keeping up with the hourly work?
The hourly work. Well, the way it's supposed to work, and it takes the mayor's office to really help. The issue we've had in the past, and former Mayor Etherly is as well. When you go to a site, the street and sanitation workers clean the lot. But code enforcement officers are supposed to be there to take pictures, document, and see who all is there, because they're the ones building the case file. They're building a case file, and the issue that we've had in the past is they're not individual files currently, and there should be an individual file for each case. And what I've been meeting with them about, the mayor's been meeting with them about, and Mayor Anthony did before, is you have to look at this as a court case, just like you're the police from the word go. And when you're developing a case file, you have to go forward and they have to have all the documentation. Because if we go to court, or when you do lien enforcement, they would have a public hearing here, you all are the trials of the facts. And they would have to present evidence to document everything. So code enforcement would need to take the pictures, document who all was there, see who all was there, and communicate back and forth. The issue we've had in the past is the street and sanitation directors and code enforcement have not been on the same page as to when they cut lots and et cetera. So what we've been trying to do is get them to coordinate. I'm going to lot 106 on whatever street to cut this property. We need you to appear so you could take the pictures, be there, document who all was there, and et cetera. Take before and after pictures and show everything so that we can have complete evidence. The city attorney's office cannot prosecute anything without it getting to us. And so the code enforcement, code enforcement is just like police officers in the sense of the city attorney cannot write tickets for anybody. I cannot go out and stop people from speeding. They have to take the action and get it to me. And so they would be responsible for documenting all of that and getting it to the city attorney's office.
Okay, so code enforcement would monitor the amount of actual time spent cutting that area, let's say.
Yes, code enforcement along with the street and sanitation, because they would coordinate, I'm going to the lot, and code enforcement would witness what's going on. And they wouldn't have to be there the whole time, but they would document it and then they would go back at the end, et cetera. But they would have to, as part of their daily activities, they would have to keep account of.
Okay, and the only reason why I'm asking is because, for abundance of caution for the owner. So if a property owner has something going on and they are in violation or what have you, and the street sanitation, the code enforcement people, whomever, it takes longer than it really had to, say something broke down or whatever, I can see where this would get costly. I mean, I'm not against this at all. I'm just saying I want to
Right.
make sure that we,
The one thing about it, if I may,
yeah.
the one thing about it is the city is not trying to get into the grass cutting business. The issue is this is enforcement, and that's why it's $150 an hour. Someone can cut your lawn for far cheaper than $150 an hour. But we also have to take in consideration what we pay each employee per hour. Then it's going to cause, many times it's going to cause overtime because they're going to have to abate the issue because once they started cutting, they got to remedy it and all of those things. And also the code enforcement officer going there. So you're looking at substantial time for the city employees to do this, to remediate it. And the city is not really interested in being the person to cut the yard. What we're interested in is the best case scenario is a property owner pay somebody to cut their yard, bring a compliance, and then the city can move on to other things.
Exactly. Well, and I saw this about stagnant water. So, and I was like, I mean, how do you, I mean, how does I don't know. Anyway, I'm just thinking.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's like, what do you expect a property owner to do about stagnant water?
Oh,
I mean, and the only reason why I'm throwing these things out here is because I know that there are people behind that part of the camera, that they're probably asking some of the questions I'm thinking about. So I'm putting it out there.
Well,
That's all.
stagnant water, what only thing the city is asking for people to maintain their
No,
property.
I'm with you.
And the stagnant water is the issue. If they have stagnant water, if they go in and remediate the issue, if this ordinance is about tall grass, not stagnant water, but if they go in and remediate the issue, then it's resolved. I don't know what, every scenario is different as it relates to stagnant water. So I wouldn't know what the remedy is without seeing it. But each landowner has to remedy whatever potential violation is on their property.
Okay, and so, and lastly, so if you are a property owner and the person next to you has a bunch of junk in their yard and it's not picked up on time, by the city, say their trash is overflowing or whatever, and it's a constant problem and it's over in my yard. So are we going to look at some of that as well? Are we going to address that? Because I just want to make sure it's fair. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, but I just want to make sure we address everybody.
You just asked the question, goes back years. If you remember when Mr. Bobby Jones was an enforcer and Mr. Elijah Mundy, they were trying to discuss what it is that the city will pick up at the curb. And we're cycling back, and now you're seeing all the people put couches and all other kind of things on the side of the road. The city did not establish a policy as to what we would put on the road. I don't remember. The city saying you can't put a couch out, you can't put this out. Is it an extra fee for this, extra fee for that? Eventually, we may have to revisit that issue because you're seeing more and more, and you're seeing also what happens with blight when a person places something and they look at it as an open area. Immediately, a bunch of people start putting things there. Vacant lots. If you go down Little Rock Road, you got 2 or 3 places where they've started. We've had a history of cleaning up Little Rock Road down there, Oak Street and all that, down there, Oak Road #2 also. and people just come in and just start dumping things. There's 3 or 4 sites there that they start dumping. Also on the Rock Road, at one point, people created a pseudo landfill because when people see other people dumping waste, they just pull up and just dump things. Even within a residential neighborhood, if someone has a bunch of stuff there in the city and picked it up, all of a sudden overnight you come back the next day and it's a whole bunch of other stuff there. And so, but we have to remedy things for us like the sanitation and the commercial pickup and others, because what people are finding, if we're not getting all the trash, then people find places just to put trash. And so it's a couple of things that we have to remediate to make sure that we're providing the services to the best of the city's ability and also enforcing the other part.
Is that something we need to go ahead and put on the agenda to talk about real soon?
What's that?
About exactly what you're allowed to put on the corner and what's not supposed to go on the corner?
That's a conversation we probably need to finish.
I think that's a big conversation.
That's a big.
They're in terms of just code in general, because there are ordinances that kind of remedy a lot of situations already that just haven't been enforced the way they're supposed to have been enforced. In particular, I mean, I think if we're talking about what's going on the curb, like that can be something that we can talk about potentially at the next meeting. But for a lot of the code violations that are in the city's code, I mean, they're already on the books, and that's why the chief of staff and I are taking code enforcement very seriously. We're trying to make sure that department is staffed and staffed well, because it's already there. We just have to enforce it. But I'm not sure about what the ordinance would have been created and passed for curbside pickups. I'm not sure about that though. But that's something we can revisit.
Right, curbside pickup, I don't think we ever reached a resolution on it. We just said whatever they put out there, the city has history of picking it up. And the city was just picking it up and putting it in class 4, but we don't have a class 4 section anymore in the landfill, but we were just taking it to landfill.
Yeah, well, if we could add that. Well, and another reason Attorney Valley is because I had a person come up to me and they were quite angry that the city was no longer picking up like lumber that they had taken down off of a house and some other stuff, and I didn't know what to tell them.
Here's the practical issue that's been a complaint of sanitation for a while, is that you have some people who do contracts with people, and we need to address that clearly by ordinance. Contractors will take and do all this work and just put it on the curb, expect the city to put it up, pick it up, even though they've done it all. They don't want to incur the landfill fee. And so you will have property taking and things that they should properly dispose of a contractor. But instead of them taking the landfill, they want the city just to pick it up. And so you end up with a lot of things on the curb. And that's been a complaint for street and sanitation directors for a while. And that's part of it, because some people said, well, they just took something out and put on the curb. But some of it, they're taking whole houses and structures and put them on the side of the road. That's a little exaggeratory, but they're taking large portions of a structure and put it on the side of the road.
There's an ordinance against in place.
There's something that loosely speaks to that currently, yes. And I forget what year that was passed. You should get that.
Right.
But we've had somebody come to the office on a couple occasions, shingles, toilets. If you're doing housework, I mean, as the attorney said, the contractor that's doing that work is supposed to haul that off themselves, not the city.
We need to
Somebody speak to me about it also.
We need to revisit that issue and clearly define what the city's going to pick up. Is there additional charge for this? Is there a charge for contractors to do so? And we can flesh all that out.
Yeah, and this ordinance, I know you said tall grass, but it says garbage, rubbish, stagnant water, and other sanitary unsafe.
Yeah, we would just.
But it's more than just tall grass, right?
Right, we were amending the section about tall grass.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If I might say, I know you wrote this ordinance.
Yes, sir.
I compliment you on writing it, but I don't agree with it entirely. I don't agree with putting more pressure on poor people in this community than we're not cutting and picking up garbage that we, the city, should be doing, and then we're trying to impose more hardships on poor people of this community. I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to this ordinance. And, that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. I compliment you on writing the ordinance, but I think you're being, excessively, more demanding than you should be on the poor people of this community. And, I'm not gonna be supporting that ordinance.
Understand?
And I thank you for your efforts.
That's right. As it relates to, well, Mr. St. Columbine, I thank you. I rarely receive a compliment from you. I thank you for it. I'm about to write this down. But the thing I would say is this, when meeting with the mayor, the issue is the city is not trying to, from his administration, the city is not trying to get into cutting yards.
Yeah. Well,
And really, what we need is strong code enforcement, and the language that's in it, he reviewed it, chief of staff reviewed it, both of the code enforcement officers reviewed it, and they wanted more teeth in how to deal with tall grass, because because it's getting out of hand. And the spring has just come. And so if you have suggestions and amendments, you're free to discuss them.
But like the gentleman that came here earlier and talked to us, I think this is going to impose more hardships on property owners than really is necessary. So I'm opposed to it.
And I just want to add quickly, I respect your opinion. I believe if I recall, in the email or text, to the city attorney when he drafted this, I used the word deterrent. I think that this is a deterrent. I don't think anything about the city of Helena was telling them right now, as it's currently situated, prohibits people from taking care of their living space.
You're gonna be,
So, and
you're
that's
gonna be
all,
putting more
that's,
pressure
I
on
mean,
people that you shouldn't be doing.
we've had these ordinances for a while,
I'm not gonna be part of that.
Okay, but I just want to state the fact that these ordinances we've had for a while. And if anything, the changes that I've looked at making when I read through certain ordinances might be a dollar amount. You know, if we're talking about animal control, $5 to return a loose dog is not going to cut it in 2026. As we get closer Officer Mr. Smith got a hold of somebody with the property that would have been impacted by this ordinance. That person said, and I quote, "Well, I'll just pay the city to cut it." And my response was, "No, we're not a lawn care company, so we don't. I don't want the city to collect per hour. It's meant to be a deterrent and support local business with entrepreneurs that have landscaping companies here. And let's have some pride in our yards. I think that's what this is about. So
May I say something? And I know it may not affect
Yeah.
Mr. St. Columbia where you live. But in the ward that I live in the
He won't-
summertime, there are lots of old abandoned houses that have high grass and containers and trash,
He wants to
and
put three, he told it.
nobody's responsible,
Don't need.
or nobody's really been responsible except for the city. Sure, if they come by, or if someone calls and it's, it's a danger, if it's on a corner where the grass is too high, they'll cut it, but it's not the city's responsibility, I don't think. I think it's the
Excuse me, gentlemen.
the owner's responsibility. And like I say, a lot of the houses, no one lives there, people have moved or died, or old block houses, but it's a sight to see. And like I say, it may not affect you, it may not be where you live, but where I live, it's real.
But we need to do something about that.
We do, we certainly do.
But I don't think that ordinance is gonna do the job. I'm not for it. That's my opinion.
just briefly, do you have an alternative? Briefly, do you have an alternative?
What?
Do you have an alternative for?
Yes, I'll come up with one. I sure will. I don't have the moment. Okay?
Mr. Messina?
I've been driving around this town for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I keep seeing the same pile of trash in the same yard. Nobody picks it up.
Is this trash as in trash bin, or just litter spread on the yard?
It's everything, it's just past, it's just stacked up. It's, I can't understand why it can't be picked up.
On the side of the resident that lives there, or on the side of the city?
On the side of the residents.
Oh, yeah.
Those different houses, you just go down the line.
Mhm.
Go down Sylvan Ridge, see what you can see.
I do have areas in my ward as well that have had trash and debris on the side of the road that's been there for.
It's been there for a while, hadn't it?
Wow.
Why can't they pick it up? Let's don't worry about cutting grass and get that. Let's pick up stuff that's been down there for 3 and 4 weeks or a month and a half. That's what we need to clean. If we clean that up, it'll make a big difference on these people deciding to cut the grass.
We're not taking care of what we can do right now, and then you won't do.
If I may, here's a practical thing. I agree that the city needs to pick up what it's supposed to pick. The city also needs to find what can be put there and what cannot be put there. So the homeowners, because what's happening is some of it is being put there and they're constantly packing up. The other thing is the city does need to pick up the piles that the city is supposed to pick up. Go ahead and do it. Part of it is, at some point, it depends on what type of piles you are discussing. If the torn down houses, part of the issue with that was getting the equipment to the lot so you could pick it up and the city take it away. As it relates to stuff put on the curb, people are putting all manner of things on the curb. I think the thing is that code enforcement has to move in all directions at the same time. We do need to deal with the grass. We do need to deal with the trash. The city also needs to pick up its commercial waste and anything that they have. So both are true at the same time, and both need to be rectified at the same time.
Let me ask you a simple question. For about 6 or 7 days at the liquor store.
We're gonna get there, Mr. Messina. I know where you're going. Just stick with me. Stick with me until we get to the very end. We're gonna get there. For trash, for collection. I'm assuming you're gonna talk about trash. We're gonna get to the trash collection.
Not taking care of our city as it is right now.
Well, no, we're taking care of it.
More ordinances.
Mr. Messina, I respect, or Mr. St. Columbia, I'm sorry, I respectfully disagree. The chief of staff, this administration, myself, the departments that we work with on a daily basis, I know the tone that we sit in the office with, and it's that we have to do better.
We sure do.
I'm playing with what was put in my hands. And this is what I've inherited. And I'm not going to make any excuses. We're not going to talk about what we can't do. The fact of the matter is, we're starting, this is our start. I can't control the starting point, but I know where we're going to go. The starting point is not new. This didn't happen yesterday, and I don't want to go down that road, but the starting point is not new. And so code enforcement is important. And as the attorney said, we have to be firing on all cylinders. Trash shouldn't be spread over people's yards. Dogs and cats shouldn't be roaming the streets. That list is long. We know that. And the way we get there is by making sure that what's already on the books is enforced. We're providing the services that we're supposed to provide, and we're going to take care of all those things. So I just want to reiterate that in short, the tone is we are all going to do what we're supposed to do. The city's going to do what it's supposed to do, and we're asking the residents to do what they're supposed to do. No exceptions. Whether you're friends, no exceptions. Accountability shouldn't have bias. None. And I want to be clear about that. That's the message, and that's been the message since day one.
I see where you got on the agenda that you want to hire a third code enforcement officer.
And
we got two now.
And we're talking about a long.
We're talking about adding another one. You're adding more people on here, more expense to do things, and we're not taking care of what we got with the people we got. The buck stops at the head, and you're the head. You need to straighten out what we got and take care of what we got.
And as we get there, I'll mention why a third code enforcement officer is important. But right now, we're talking about this nuisance abatement.
Well, I know how I feel about that. I don't want to keep adding more ordinances.
Is there any more
hardships on the people of this community? And that's the way I feel about it.
Thank you, Mr. St. Columbus.
We need to look at our water rates too. We need to start looking at some of those. I think people of this community don't have the money. I got the money to pay my water bill, but there's some people that can't pay it, and then we're gonna, like the gentleman said,
we got to take care of our infrastructure, Mr. St. Columbia. We have to take care. We have to do that too, and we have to take care of our infrastructure. We have to. We can't ask somebody else to come in our house and pay our bills for us. We can't. That's not how the real world works. We're here because for an indefinite amount of time, we haven't done that.
Yoke on these people.
We all share the yoke, Mr. St. Columbia. We all share.
Tell the head of your sanitation department.
We're gonna get there. We have a sanitation. So just for the sake of time, and that's an important question. I figured that question was gonna come up, but I want to make sure that we're getting to that in order. So the situation at the liquor store, and then potential things to tell. Yeah, a lot of commercial places. Exactly. I'm aware. So we're going to get there in order. But for now, I want to know, is there any more discussion on particular this code enforcement ordinance amendment? Is there any more discussion on this? Is there a motion to approve this?
Is there a motion to approve? To suspend the rules, place on third and final reading the relevant portions.
Do you think it would be wise for us to table this just for tonight until we get a little bit more clarity about some of the issues that we talked about tonight?
I think, to me, I mean, if that's what the body wants to do, I mean, that's what we'll have to do because this is the governing body. I think this is black and white in the sense that we have to make sure that code is enforced, and it's to make sure that our community looks as good as it can and it functions as well as it can. And so I think what we've gotten a little sidetracked with tonight is thinking about what the city's not doing in terms of and in some cases what we haven't been doing. But that doesn't deter the reality that we want. Like the city should be operating at an optimal level. We should be providing city services that are of quality. We absolutely should. And that doesn't deter the reality that citizens should also be making sure that their lived spaces are kept clean. So I just don't want us, I feel like, we get a little sidetracked here, but if this body wants to move this to another time, I mean, that's our call to the table, evidently, but I think this is black and white. And
well, see, Mayor, here's the thing. If we're not clear about you know, the stuff from contractors being put on the side of the road, and we don't know whether or not the city should or should not pick it up, and we haven't really fully fleshed that out, then to me, if you're gonna have that as part of a code saying you got this stuff in your yard, you haven't picked it up, and it's been there for a while and whatever, then we're gonna put a fine. I think that sort of muddies the water a little bit. I think we need to sort of make sure that we're all on track about what is and is not a violation, and then go forward. Because here's the thing, if I'm a property owner and 3 houses down, there's somebody that's got 4 trucks, a car, you know, an ice machine, a yard sale that they've had for 2 years. I mean, to me, they do need to be made to get that mess cleaned up, because that affects all of our property values. So I agree, but I think that we need to make sure that we clean it up a little bit before we enforce it.
And I mean, code enforcement definitely needs to be clear so that the expectations are clear. I agree with that. That's probably a workshop because we have several codes. We have, I mean, codes around just what's in your yard, what are we picking up in trash? How are you walking your pet if you're outside? I mean, there's a long list of codes, salvage yards and junk yards. So, I mean, if we're wanting to pause on this one in particular, if that's what the body wants to do, I mean, that could be, we can come back to it at the next meeting. But if we're talking about code in general, that's probably a workshop with several ordinances, many that are already on the books. Some that are fine that I don't think need to be changed. Some that maybe fine amounts need to be changed given just the passage of time. So code is a top priority for my administration, and I say that sincerely. For this one and for this in particular, I don't think. I mean, I say black and white because I don't think asking people to keep grass cut is controversial.
Okay, so this is strictly just grass. This is not about all.
Yeah, this is just, that's correct. This is the minute
Just
portion about grad.
Okay,
I don't.
That's what threw me off though, because it says also rubbish,
yeah.
garbage, stagnant water, unsanitary, unsafe conditions. So
The things that are put on sale.
garbage, rubbish could be.
Right.
That could be in a.
Well, not stagnant water.
Right, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I read it entire, we only addressed the grass in this ordinance 12/2024 addressed all those other things.
Yeah.
But the mayor's concern was the tall grass.
Yeah.
And when I met with him and the code enforcement and the chief of staff, this is what the emphasis was the grass.
I understand.
Because the practical issue in terms of the audit, the city did a lot of contracting for grass cutting.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is that the mayor does not want to get into grass cutting. He wants the city to enforce other people to cut their own grass.
Mm-hmm.
And the city to cut the grass that it's responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the priority remedies that he was emphasizing with me is that we need to address this grass. And that's why we're addressing grass. Is that correct, ma'am?
Correct, yeah.
And I don't really have a problem with that, but I do believe that there's some areas that people are not sure whose responsibility it is. I mean, because and I hope he doesn't get angry, but about a couple of years ago, the owner of KCLT asked me about a tract that was running on the side of their radio station. And he was concerned about whose responsibility, because I think he was getting out there cutting it. And he said that was the city's responsibility, just like Reverend Williams. And I know there are other people. So I think we need to have a little clarity about who's responsible for some of these places.
One of the common misconceptions is whether the city owns the right of way. The city has a right of way for utilities and for the maintaining of water lines, sewer lines, and et cetera, in the frontage of most of the citizens' property. The city does not own that property. The owner still owns it. But the city has lines below it that we have a right to entry into the property to repair the water and the sewer lines. And so people often misconceive, well, if a tree falls, they say, well, that's the city's tree. No, it's your tree. It's your property. That's the city's property it is. No, that's your property. The city merely has a right of way to maintain the water lines and the sewer lines at the frontage. And many people assume that much of the property that is theirs is the city's. But the city doesn't own that area. The city has a right-of-way easement for the maintaining of the city's water and sewer lines that are there. So many times when we talk about it, from the meter to the street, the city fixes the problem, but from the meter to the house, the person fixes. That's because we operate within the right of way that's authorized by law.
Mr. Messina.
Prepare yourself for a good little response when the Episcopal Church calls and asks about that monstrosity that's been on the side of across the street from the Episcopal Church. It's been sitting there for over a year now.
And I don't want us to keep getting off task, but we just had certified mail go out about that.
You had what now?
Certified mail for the owners of that residence go out. The certified mail went out about a week and a half ago.
That owned it?
Yes. The city attorney has laid out that we have to make sure that we build a case file on each individual property or case that is essentially a code violation. Because if we're getting people in the district court, if we're able to say that we have enough of a justification to fine somebody, we have to provide that justification. So that was one of the, I believe it was the last meeting where I told you that we were going to have our new officer get out there, and he did that his second official day. So I want to get off.
Now, we've been doing this for over a year. That house has been burned down, and I think James Valley organized to tear it down, have it tore down. And it's still sitting there. I mean, it's an eyesore.
If I made a previous explanation was this, when Mayor Franklin was here, the city needed a track hole to get it up, and he needed the equipment to get the track hole to the land, if I remember that correctly. And that was why you had some of the piles. It was an equipment issue, and the city may have to contract to get somebody to get it up. But I will go back and look at the minutes to see if there was. What's that? You're squirming. Do you know anything about it?
No.
I'm gonna ask again
Squirming about a lot.
for a copy of what we owe, the city owes. I've asked for it every month for the last 5-6 months.
I make a motion that we get at the next meeting that we have a list of what we owe. How
Well,
much we
How
owe.
much
let's
money we
pause
getting
before
different
we
debt?
say, what the proper language is claims against the city, the claims that we have outstanding against the city.
But what now? I didn't follow that.
Claims.
Claim.
Yeah, some of the things that are on the list are disputed, and so we use the language claims. We wouldn't argue that we owe all of these people because they would use these minutes, this video against the city in court saying you admitted that you owe. And so some of them are claims and some of them.
Well, I know the internal revenue, we owe about $1 million to internal revenue, don't we?
We've been making
Federal taxes,
consistent payments on
huh?
that. Not even, we've been making consistent payments on that. But no, I will provide that. I'll provide that list for you. Absolutely.
We owe, I mean, these bills that we owe, that we created over the years, and Mr. Franklin.
So, and before we get too far going, I just want to, is there a motion for this amended ordinance? Or does this body want to move this ordinance amendment to another meeting?
To move to another meeting, at least so we can get some clarity on, on what is considered to be responsibilities.
I'm gonna, without any opposition, I'm gonna assume that is a consensus. Thank you, Dr. Miller. All right, so what we're gonna do is move on to the next item. The police department vehicles, this was emailed to you. We're not gonna go through this today because the Chief Sanders, is out ill today. So he's not here to do a presentation. Okay. I do ask that you, review, those 3 documents that were sent out. I want to say, either early this week or late last week around potential, purchases of new police vehicles. He has, put together a presentation detailing why he thinks that that's a priority for this body to think about. So
I visited with the chief 3 or 4 days ago. He said he has 4 vehicles that's running. more vehicles. And if people in the city call for police and they need people to get there quick, I'm sorry, we only have 4 vehicles and they're all being used right now. You just have to wait till we get some more vehicles. I think we need to go ahead and issue and get him the 9 vehicles, and then we won't have any more questions. And then
So
in
if
the
we-
meantime,
if
in
we
order to
can-
pay some of this stuff, we need to reduce the amount of people we got working at the city.
If we want to call a special meeting, I can't necessarily get him in today because he's ill. He was on the agenda today to be here. But if we would need to call a special meeting to push that up, that's something that we can do that.
What, police cars? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
if we need to do that, as a special meeting before our next meeting, that's something that we can do. But it is a pressing issue and that's why it's on the agenda, so that we can make sure we problem solve for our transportation as it relates to our officers.
What's the chance of us reducing some of the help that we have? What do we still have, about 100?
So we'll get to that point, Mr. Messina. We're gonna get to that point. I just want to make sure that we're making proper use of the time now.
Proper what now?
Proper use of the time right now. So I want to make sure we get to the rest of the agenda. And we'll get there for any extra discussion at the end. Our next agenda item is number 9, the Code Enforcement Department request for funding of a 3rd code enforcement officer. With the conversation that we just had, I do believe that one of the sentiments that was echoed across both sides of the table was that there are a lot of code issues that the city should be focused on: grass, litter, things that make our community beautiful. Part of that is having the manpower to do that. We have 3 code enforcement officers in the base pay. This would not require a base pay ordinance change at all. What this would require is a budget amendment to budget for a 3rd code enforcement officer. We made the decision in our base pay workshop. All of the code enforcement officers make $30,000 a year. That was what this body moved to make official, from 28,000 to 30,000, being that we got rid of the head officer position and just combined or made all 3 officer positions just simple code enforcement officer positions. So with that being said, I did want to say that the addition of our 2nd code enforcement officer, Mr. Smith, he's been a phenomenal help to have around city office. He's out in the field every day. He's working well with our previous code enforcement officer, Ms. Williams. And for us to make sure that our city's going to be beautiful, we have to make sure that we have the manpower to support that. I believe that team is something special. We work together. They're having meetings with the city attorney. They have a log system where they're able to have a case-by-case inventory of every stop that they make in every issue that they see. And so I believe that we owe it to the city to make sure that that's a priority, that we're saying we want to support our residents and making sure that we're all being in compliance.
Thought we approved 3.
I thought we did.
3 for the base pay.
Yeah.
So there are 3 in the base pay ordinance, but for the actual budget for this year, the budget was for 2.
We appropriated, but we didn't want to.
No, it was 3 in the base pay. And we also need to look at the budget issue because there's a slight change in the sense of when there was a fireman, Mr. Smith, that was moved from fire department to code enforcement. So in the base pay, you keep your salary. And so we have to also have to address that issue as relates to overall code enforcement budget. Because when you move from one position in the city, you do not lose your salary being reassigned to another portion.
So the 3rd code enforcement officer, we're getting from the fire department?
No, the current 2nd one that we have. So we have 2 right now, and we were at 1 for a while, and we just hired a 2nd one.
Yeah.
That's the individual that came from the fire.
Now we're gonna get the 3rd. We're going for a 3rd, right?
So we've actually spoken with an individual that's interested in the role and was offered a role, and I'll credit Mr. Etherly with just putting it on my mind that, like many of us, thought that we budgeted for a 3rd, thought we budgeted for a 3rd code enforcement officer, but that's just what we have in the base pay. In the actual budget for 2026, we budgeted for 2. But I'm wanting and I'm suggesting to this body that filling that third
I think you can
position.
solve
would be
that
great.
problem. We got a third one that you wanna hire that's very important for the city, right? Y'all are saying it's really important. Okay, well, let's just take about 2 or 3 employees that we don't need. Let them go so we can hire this third one.
I can remember when this city only had one code enforcement officer. I can remember that, and we did well with that, just one.
And
Then
yet-
we added 2, now you wanna put on 3?
They need 25,000.
Adding people is not gonna be the solution.
Well,
Getting the people that we got employed now to get the job done is what's important to us. Cause we got trash all over town and people aren't picking it up like they should. And we got potholes that need fixing bad, real bad. We hadn't bought any asphalt at all. And we got to take care of the people in this community as they are right now before we start adding more people to our payroll. I'm opposed to, Mayor, I'm opposed to adding the third one, I tell you.
I would like to ask, so I hope this not taking us too far down the rabbit trail. If we could look at getting some savings through attrition, you know, and not replacing certain positions like there's a department that in my perception, I could be completely wrong, that's very heavily staffed. And they're posting to fill positions. I'm like, do they really need to fill positions right now? Couldn't we get the savings from those open positions? Instead of hiring more people?
Well, this would be the only, I'm assuming, talking about fire department?
Yes.
Okay, this would be the only such case where we, needed to amend a department, personnel count. So with the fire department's hires, they had several people, and I understand what you're saying, that, like, do we need positions? Part of the logic.
Yeah, because weren't they like basically overstaffed anyway?
At one point, I think that was prior to me being here, but, to cut back on some of the overtime, making sure that we had some extra staff. So we did not feel, to your point, we didn't fill every position that was filled. I think over the last 6 months, they've had about 5 people leave that department, and the chief has asked for 3. So thinking about what can we do with what we have, I mean, that is a situation.
It just seems like a real logical way to save and gather more funds. Instead of firing people.
Yeah, he would tell you that I've been
replace
slow
some
to
of those
fill
positions.
those extra vacancies. He'll tell you I've been slow to fill those.
Mayor, I asked earlier, how many people are working for us right now with the city? How many people are employed?
City employees.
Yeah,
We have 96 or 95.
how many?
96 or 95, right around 95. That's a lot.
95 or 96.
We don't need but about 70. That's my thinking.
So for the sake of time, and I understand the sentiments, but for the sake of time, will there be a motion to approve an amendment to the budget for a third code enforcement officer, or do we think that this is something that needs to be taken this way?
Let's talk about that next meeting.
Is that the shared consensus from this body? I don't see any opposition. So
Maybe if we get down to 90 employees, we can talk more about third.
we will revisit code enforcement at a different time. I do believe, and
What we might consider is a hiring freeze. Except for essential employees. You know, like police officers and fire and stuff like that, but just do a hiring freeze. I don't want to fire anybody, but just cool off on. And I'm not saying we're doing a bunch of hiring, because I don't know what's going on. I don't get any impression that you're going out hiring a whole bunch of people. But just hold off on hiring and get the savings from that. That's what state government does.
And like I said, in certain departments, we, just like the fire, we've had other departments where people left. We're not looking to fill positions just because somebody left. I mean, Can we fill it with, if somebody is interested, is this a right person? Is it a good person? Is it a good fit? B, does that position need to be filled? And so, department heads I just want everybody to know that department heads will echo a lot of what's been said at the table, that it's not a gung ho, let's just fill these positions. Sometimes quality, outpaces quantity, and that's the mindset that I've actually.
No, I understand.
So, all right, so moving right along, item number 10 for this evening is the King Biscuit Blues Festival Grant Resolution. This is in your packet right after, the amended ordinance for the grass cutting. This is a proposal for the resolution to support an advertising grant for the King Biscuit Blues Festival. Essentially, the King Biscuit Blues Festival is going after a $5,000 grant for promotion of the King Biscuit Blues Festival. And for their submission, they would need a resolution saying that the city supports the use of those funds for advertising. So this is not money that would even come to the city, but it's a case and show of partnership that we want the Biscuit Blues Festival to be advertised. And this is part of their application needing us to state that we are in favor and want to promote that.
You're asking that we approve paying for advertising?
We're not paying for advertising. So the King Biscuit Blues Festival, that board is going after a $5,000 grant.
They're going
to cut
after.
exactly.
What?
And to finalize their application, part of their application is showing that the city is on board with their effort. So this is just simply saying we support them. We want them to get the $5,000 and promote that festival.
It brings a lot of money to this community, and I support the King Biscuit Blues Festival.
Is there?
Yes, the grant application is to the Arkansas Department of Tourism. And this is just saying the city council supports the application.
Is there any discussion about this at all?
No. You need a motion for that?
We will.
Make the motion that we support the King Biscuit Blues Festival on the grant.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
I abstain.
Mr. Messina,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia. 5 yes, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving right along, item number 11, this is a Xylem water invoice. This is on the next page in your packet, page 21. This is being requested for payment. The water department account manager sent this over yesterday. These are fuel charges that have been used for bypass pumps that we've used. And this is awaiting payment from our water department.
We've already bought and used that fuel, hadn't we?
Correct.
Yeah, well, I approve. I make a motion, we approve that. What we owe. Yeah, we have to pay our bill.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Messina,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
6 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Come again?
Why are we paying Xylem? Excuse me.
I'm not sure. So Xylem has been someone that they've contracted with in the past. Why that's the only, I think if I talked to the account manager, understood correctly, one of the other companies was outbidding them in terms of what they were offering for fuel.
Well, no, I asked this question 2 or 3 months ago. And I don't know if maybe I'm asking a bad question. The fuel came from Jordan's. We got a bill from Xylem for fuel. And I'm wondering how Xylem got involved in the fuel process. You know, are they selling us fuel? Literally selling us gas? That's kind of my question. And if you need to talk to the manager.
The account manager explained that there was a switch from the water department from Jordan's to Xylem for that. But it is fuel that was used for bypass pumps, and we can give greater clarity on that for you if need be. But there was a change made from Jordan's for this city council meeting. With that being said, number 12 is not anything that we need to take action on. This is just a brief up. Did we go for that?
What?
Did we go for that?
What?
For improving the we did. I think that question came after the question.
Okay.
We've been here for a
Because you
while.
asked the question, because you asked the question after the fact.
We've been here
Maybe
for a
forget
while.
what we
It's
voted.
okay. Number 12 on the agenda tonight is just a council member update. I'm just very happy to say that thanks to the clerk, we recreated a new account for the reserve funds for the water department to make sure that those reserve funds are housed separately from their daily cash report and flow. So that's really good to know that they'll be contributing to a reserve fund. And I want folks at home to understand that the water department is doing well. I know that rate increases have been a hot topic, but when you invest in your infrastructure works the way it's supposed to. And our water department can take care of $34,000 bills. We shouldn't be paying those. And I agree. I think that's the source of Mr. Epley's question. But yeah, so the water department is getting stronger and stronger. And I think that's just a good nod to them for that. Last but not least, item number 13. This is Mid-South Waste Disposal. This is the very final page in your packet, page 22. This is a proposal to contract for commercial trash pickup with Mid-South Waste Disposal. I made this call to Mr. Richard Cobb, who is the operator for Mid-South Waste Disposal. If you're not familiar with that name, this would have been, they're located in Clarksdale. This would have been a company that Mr. Wash Sellers, who the city contracted with a lot over the last year and a half for garbage services. He would subcontract to Mid-South Waste Disposal because what Mr. Sellers did not have in his arsenal was a commercial truck. So he, while he did help us in our tough times, Mr. Sellers never had a commercial truck. So if he ever needed to have that assistance, this is who he would call, Mr. Cobb. Right now, we have our commercial truck that is down, and that truck has been it had its diagnostic test today, and should be undergoing repairs soon. So in the meantime, to make sure that commercial routes are being picked up in a timely sense, back to our liquor store comment from earlier, this is a request that I'm asking. What you see in your packet, we spoke yesterday, and the rate that he agreed to was the same rate that was used in 2025 at the top of the year, $150 per hour for one truck. That is the plan, to have one truck come in on our commercial route days and make sure that our commercial route is kept up to speed. And then one driver was what we discussed at a rate of $24.50 per hour. And so this will alleviate some of the standstill that we're seeing with our commercial dumps happening because of that downed.
What's wrong with one of our trucks? It's down.
Yes, the commercial truck had an incident, and I didn't follow up about the diagnostic, but the diagnostic happened today. I believe that is the commercial truck the newest.
I think so. We bought a residential and a, in the front end load. Pretty sure those are the two.
That is.
Yeah.
No, we bought three. Did we buy three? Ms. Ramsey, do we buy 2 or 3
We bought
trucks?
2 garbage trucks and a loader. It's the front end loader, it's the fuel injectors.
Right, the front end loader. So this is the
Was one of the new ones?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it's the fuel injectors are being replaced in it.
What needs to be replaced?
The fuel injectors
Fuel injector.
needed to be replaced.
Needs to be replaced.
Does that usually take 2 weeks?
Well, I'm not sure about the repair time itself, but this is why I'm asking for this proposal.
No, I get it. I
So
understand.
that this is not for a month's time or a year's time. This is on an as-needed basis, asking for approval for the council to utilize the services of Mid-South Waste.
Practical question is, we need to approve a particular amount and whether it's over $7,500. In the past, when we've done contracts like this, we've approved them for like a couple of weeks. So we can know exactly what it is and know the status. I don't know how much per week this is going to cost, and that's one of the things that.
Brand new.
70, 50 per hour. I don't know how many hours they need to pick up commercial trash.
That'd be 1 day a week.
There is, Freedom Sanitation has a commercial route that they usually do knock out in 1 day for the commercial businesses that have one pickup. And there are some businesses that have 3 pickups in a week. Those are typically the restaurants.
Mayor, who's responsible for the maintenance on those trucks when they come in at the end of the day or at the end of the week?
Our street and sanitation department. Our street and sanitation department. Our street and sanitation department.
Why, who is that?
We have a staff of people that have been, we have a mechanic on site, and we also have an interim director right now. So I mean, the department itself should make sure it's any department that's over a piece of equipment. You want people.
Andre, did we get those trucks about June or July last year?
I also looked at this.
It ought to be on the warning.
That was January of 25.
January? Last
January, remember?
Yeah.
At least that was the vote.
Okay.
It was during the budget time. That was the vote in January. So I don't know when they were delivered, but I think, it seems like they were delivered about 3 weeks later. So January or February of last year.
It's crazy.
As- They should be on the warrant. We need to check that. As a practical matter, what you're looking at, worst case scenario, if they picked up 3 times a week for 8 hours, you're talking 24 hours a week. That's $4,200 per week. That's rough math on my behalf, but it shouldn't be that much. But the issue is, if it's more than 7,500, we'd have to waive competitive bidding. So I don't know what amount you all gonna appropriate the mayor's office to do.
How long is it usually?
So many weeks, so.
Yeah, maybe 3 weeks. So how you think you think it'd be fixed in 3 weeks?
I think if you just do an amount and then figure out what they need, and then if they need some more, we come back and.
Okay. 7,500.
Yeah, I mean, we did, when we used Mr. Sellers, we did, I think, 3,700, 3,750 for a week.
Okay. For 3 weeks.
Yeah. I don't think you have as much commercial as residential. I mean, so
We don't.
shouldn't take that much.
Yeah, but it depends on how long it takes
Right.
to get fixed. That's all.
I guess as a practical matter, like Ms. Esther said, if you did 3,750 or if you did 5,000 for 2 weeks, and then that would give some approval to the mayor, and then the next city council meeting, we can flesh it out and see where we need a competitive bidding waiver, whether it needs extended or whether the fuel injectors are repaired. I believe it should be under warranty as we go forward, but we'll check that.
Yes, sir.
Is if we're thinking about amounts, I believe for a cost from $4,500 per week should be a good figure. Not that we'll use $4,500 each week, but just to give us some cushion if we need it. Is that a figure or a number that we can get behind? And Mr. Cobb is ready to mobilize tomorrow. I spoke to him again today to tell him I would inform him how the decision is made with the body. He's ready to be here tomorrow.
I think we should limit the number of weeks though, because it needs to be some heat put on getting those trucks fixed. So we say,
The trucks in Memphis,
they're already
the trucks
there.
in Memphis, they're working on it, yeah.
Okay. So
So I
just
think
4,500.
As a practical matter question, do you want to do 1 week or 2 weeks? That's
I'll say 4,500 for 2 weeks. Should give us enough time to get everything straightened out,
I second.
I would think.
2 weeks or per week. Yeah.
No, I think she's saying 4,500 for 2 weeks, and I'm with her.
I mean, like, so 4,500 per week. For 2
Oh,
weeks.
yeah.
I was with the 4,500 too, but okay. I mean,
But I think if you get over 7,500, you got to require waiver of competitive bidding.
yeah, yes, I understand.
So for the practical matter, I think we ought to keep it under 7,500. So you don't have to waive competitive bidding. It's above the mayor's spending authority, and y'all can approve that. But the practical issue is Friday you would know because what the proposal says, you got to pay by Friday, and Friday the mayor have a good understanding of this is what it costs, when he can send an email, see whether we have to have another meeting or whether this is gonna have to, what can be decided 2 weeks from now, because by Friday, the mayor should know, one, what the bills are, two, what's the status of the truck.
Okay.
And if we had to have a special call meeting, then we could do that just briefly, one day during lunch or whatever, to get it done.
So 4,500 for 1 week?
I'm just making suggestions. I don't know what you want to do. If you want to do 7,400 for 2 weeks, I mean, whatever.
$7,400 for 2 weeks.
I'll second that.
Second, 7,400 for 2 weeks, utilizing the services of Mid-South Waste Disposal.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. St. Columbia,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Etherly,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Messina.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Are there any
I
additional?
move we
comments?
adjourn.
I second.
Third, motion adjourned.